Bills began to pile up. The father was left to frantically search for another option, or face tens of thousands of dollars in medical bills. Another woman from Texas was about to get a double mastectomy when her insurance company canceled her policy because they said she forgot to declare a case of acne. True story. By the time she had her insurance reinstated, her breast cancer had more than doubled in size. Small business people. I got a letter just this week from a small businessman. He said, I don't know what to do. I've always provided health insurance for my families. But here, the attached bill shows that the premiums have gone up 48% in the last year. And I think that I'm probably going to have to stop providing health insurance for my employees. I don't want to, but I don't have a choice. These stories are wrong. They are heartbreaking. Nobody should be treated that way in the United States of America. That's why we're going to bring back change this year. Since Teddy Roosevelt first called for health reform. It's been attempted by nearly every president and Congress since. And our failure to get it done, year after year, decade after decade, it has placed a burden on families, on businesses, and on taxpayers, and we can't stand it any longer. We cannot sustain it any longer. If we do nothing, your premiums will continue to rise faster than your wages. If we do nothing, more businesses will close down. Fewer will be able to open in the first place. If we do nothing, we will eventually spend more on Medicare and Medicaid than every other government program combined. That's not an option for the United States of America. So Minnesota, I may not be the first president to take up the cause of health care reform, but I am determined to be the last. Never been. We've debated this issue for better than a year now. And there's actually some solid agreement on about 80% of what needs to be done. That's never happened before. Our overall efforts have been supported by an unprecedented coalition of doctors and nurses and hospitals and seniors groups. Even drug companies, many of whom were opposed to reform in the past, this time they recognize, you know what, this is not going to be stopped. We've got to get on board. Now, what we've also seen in these last few months is the same partisan spectacle that has left so many of you disappointed in Washington for so long. We've heard scare tactics instead of honest debate. Too many have used this opportunity to score short-term political points instead of working together to solve long-term challenges. I don't know if you agree with me, but I think the time for bickering is over. The time for games is past. Now's the time for action. Now's the time to deliver on health care for every American. lot of misinformation out there. I want you to know about this plan that I announced on Wednesday, so that when you go talk to your neighbors and your friends, you're at the water cooler, buying Starbucks or whatever it is that you're doing, I want you to be able to say to people, here's what's going on. The plan I announced will provide more security and stability to those who have health insurance. It will provide insurance to those who don't. And it will slow the growth of healthcare costs for our families, our businesses, and our government. Let me give you some details. First of all, if you're among the hundreds of millions of Americans who already have health insurance through your job, or you've got health insurance through Medicare, or Medicaid, or the VA, nothing in this plan will require you or your employer to change your coverage or your doctor. All right? I want you to be clear about that. Let me repeat, nothing in this plan requires you to change what you have if you're happy with it. What this plan will do is to make your insurance work better for you. So under this plan, it will be against the law for insurance companies to deny you coverage because of a pre-existing condition. When I sign this bill, it will be against the law for insurance companies to drop your coverage when you get sick. Some arbitrary cap on the amount of coverage you can receive in a given year or a lifetime. We will place a limit on how much you can be charged for out-of-pocket expenses, because in the United States of America, nobody should go broke because they got sick. Insurance companies will be required to cover and no extra charge routine checkups and preventive care like mammograms and colonoscopies, because there's no reason you shouldn't be catching diseases like breast cancer or colon cancer before they get worse. That makes sense. It saves money, it saves money. Now, if you're one of the tens of millions of Americans who don't currently have health insurance, the second part of this plan is going to finally offer you affordable choices. So if you lose your job, or change jobs, or want to start a business, you'll be able to get coverage. You will have confidence that affordable coverage is out there for you, and we will do this not contrary to what folks say by some government takeover of healthcare. We will do this by setting up a new insurance exchange, a marketplace where individuals and small businesses will be able to shop for an affordable health insurance plan that works for them. And because there'll be one big group, these uninsured Americans will have the leverage to drive down costs and get a much better deal than they get right now. That's how large companies do it. That's how government employees get their health insurance. That's how members of Congress get good deals on their insurance. You should get the same deal that members of Congress get. Now, if you still can't afford the lower price insurance available in the exchange, we're going to provide you or a small business owner tax credits so that they can do it. And in the first few years that it takes to set up the exchange, because it will take a few years to get this all set up even after it passes. But in the meantime, we want to make sure people get some immediate help. So we're going to immediately offer Americans with pre-existing conditions who can't get coverage right now, we want to give them some low-cost coverage that will provide them protection